The yeshiva is a very unique place. It started 10 years ago when basically there was no place for older students to study the Torah, to learn the Torah. It was considered a pursuit for younger men. And 10 years ago, Rabbi Gold, together with myself, realized that there is a need in this world to start a yeshiva for older men.
What is your motivation for starting?
My motivation was that in 1989 I started another yeshiva, specifically for older men, since I was almost 40 years old when I started entertaining an idea of coming back to learning Torah. When I went looking for places, there was nobody that wanted me. They told me I was too old and I didn't have enough background. At that particular moment, I said, that's ridiculous. And I started a yeshiva in 1989 in the old Churva before it was rebuilt. And 10 years ago, formally started Yeshiva Rebbe Akiva, myself and Rabbi Weiss, for the purpose of different purposes for different men, mostly mature and motivated people. For me, the purpose was having my background where I didn't have a motivation, I didn't have a background. I wanted a place where I could give a man a background and let him see the richness and the fullness and the quality of life that could be attained in this world by being able to learn Torah and have a place and a makom, a place that is user-friendly and would give him the tools that were needed to allow him to pursue a life of Torah and mitzvahs.
I just want to make one comment. You know, it's a funny thing. When we think about vintage wine in the Jewish people, we really think and we look up to our elders, to older men. Isn't it strange, Rabbi Gold, that the greatest of our men are men that are aged, and the more they age, the better they become, and somehow, 10 years ago, older men, talking about middle-aged men and above, were kind of written off as if nothing's going to come out of them. And we know, of course, the name of the yeshiva, Rabbi Akiva, he is our role model. We realized that Rabbi Akiva is our mechayev. He obligates us to start whenever we can and aspire to greatness, no matter what age we start learning.
And even more than that, the Torah obligates us. The Torah never said you have to start when you're born. The Torah says wherever you are and you wake up to the fact that it's a divine commandment from God. You have to learn Torah. That's equally as relevant to somebody who's 80 as somebody that's 8. There's no difference. When you wake up and you know what's expected of you, then you can do it. We need to provide, and we need to provide a place for people to never feel that there's no place to go for it. That's the purpose of the yeshiva. And the interesting part about, even though we look up to the older people, as soon as you start to get into learning, you start feeling younger. We have a little song, it's an old famous song, an old rock and roll song. I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now. And that's the way we feel. I feel younger now than I felt ever in my life.
Shiva's the fountain of youth.
Yeah, it really is.
Fountain of youth. If anybody and everybody was ever looking for that mysterious and...
You don't have to go to Florida.
Exactly.
It's right here.
It's right here.
This is it. Come on, that's what we're here for. Every man who's sitting around wondering, how can I make my life purposeful? Right here. This is how you make your life purposeful. Because by divine decree, the God of the universe, the creator of the universe, said, this is what you got to do. Follow his teachings, follow the Torah, and you'll find youth and vigor and excitement, and you'll find purpose in life, and you'll feel good about yourself.
And why is it that way? Why is it that way? Because the answer is that ultimately what makes us human is the capacity to think. And as long as the mind is working, then that human quality is expressed in its highest form. And if somebody feels they're just too old to think, to use their mind to plumb the depths of the Torah, then, or whatever their intellectual pursuit is, that's already the danger that enters the life of a middle-aged and above man when he can't anymore use his mind the way he did when he was younger. And Torah prohibits that. You can't learn Torah.
There's no atrophy in Torah.
Now, your experiences, you've had some experiences, you came to Israel.
I came to Israel in 1980. I dropped out in 1968 during the Vietnam War, not wanting to go to Vietnam, but I got a medical discharge. I took off and I traveled the world. In 68 I left, I went to Switzerland, I lived in Europe and Greece, and then I traveled across the Middle East and ended up in India and Nepal and Tibet. Came back across Canada twice, was heading to South America and then on to get a freighter to New Zealand where I hope to live. And I spent many years in the desert in Arizona in the middle 70s and late 70s living with the American Indians, the Apaches and the Navajos and the Hopis, and was merited where I had a healing center out in the desert. I was the guardian of the Saguaro National Monument West outside Tucson, Arizona. And somebody convinced me that it was time to come back and check out my Jewish roots, which I wanted to have nothing to do with. And thank God I listened to the advice and I'm here today.
Many would say that you're healing people. You're still healing people.
I'm still what?
Healing people.
Well, B'ezrat Hashem.
What healing of a different variety? Or?
No, really the same. Healing's healing. It's touching the soul of a person. Healing comes from the soul. The physical body sees the results. But healing's a matter of they call it neshama. Souls bring the healing. It's from the inside out. It's from up, from the Lord, from heaven down. That's where the real healing. That's true healing. So I say God's healing is a true healing. That's a spiritual healing, filters down to the physical body.
Many would say that the Jewish world, or more accurately put, the Haredi world, are too focused on learning, and they don't produce a level of, there's no productivity towards society.
Here's something that my own personal story, which of course dulls in comparison to the amazing life that Rabbi Gold had. I grew up in a home as a Holocaust survivor, and I unfortunately saw the suffering of and thank God my father was amazing in dealing with that part of his past life, and I was only really exposed to some of the heroic aspects of that time of his life. But the fact of the matter is that the darkest period of our history as a people, I was really, really emotionally and immediately connected to. And I asked myself the question when I came to Israel, and this is really the answer to your question, is here I am, here we are, after 2,000 years of gullus. I just walked out of a home where I experienced firsthand the suffering and the darkest tragedy that, through my father, of course, the darkest tragedy of our history as a people, and I'm now standing in Eretz Yisrael after 2,000 years of wandering. I came here in 1973, before the Yom Kippur War, and I already aspired to live in the old city. That was my dream. I was already walking around the old city before it was a popular place to live on tours, imagining where I could set my roots to live in the holiest place in the world, and be a part of this joy, this fulfillment of redemption that our family experienced through my immigrating to Israel. So if you say that and I grew up as a Haredi student, I went to very religious, Orthodox yeshivas throughout my life, other than starting at a day school, and still in all, the desire to live in such a central, holy, spiritual center of the world was no less in my heart than it was in Rabbi Gold's.
Well, I would like to bounce off Rabbi Weiss a minute, because I had no aspirations to come into the old city, because I didn't even know it existed. I knew there was a Jerusalem.
Well, you knew when you were looking for a spiritual place.
No, but I did not understand the old city as
Okay.
opposed to any place else. When I came here, I was graced to end up here because people sent me here. I didn't choose it per se. I didn't, like Rabbi Weiss, had a desire to be always in the old city. I never had a desire. The old city to me was just another name. Jerusalem was another name. Israel wasn't even that special to me when I came here. I knew I had to come here because there were Jews here. You know, that's where I had to work out my Jewish roots. But I had no, and then I was blessed to, in a very short period of time, within a couple of months, to meet a woman, and 3 days later get engaged, and 3 weeks later to get married.
Some would say it's a bit quick.
Well, that's some people's opinion. I thought it was a little, we should have done it faster, probably. It was a little bit quick. That was the only way you could have stopped me to get me to live here. And next thing I knew, I was living in the old city. And then I started to appreciate what the old city was. And I've been living here now since I got here in 1980. I've been in the old city.
He doesn't want to leave.
And
ever.
I will not leave. I won't go anywhere if I don't have to. I like to get up every morning, go to the mikveh, check with my wife of what she needs for the day, come to the yeshiva and stay here until late in the evening and do the same routine every day. I have no desires to leave the old city. I get to pray at the Western Wall right near Weiss every day.
Truthfully, it's a fallacy also. Rabbi Gold sees it every day more so than any of us because he spends every morning prayer at the wall. But by and large, the people that visit that holy place are Haredi Jews, are the ultra-Orthodox Jewish community. They're the ones that spend most of the time at the Western Wall. So I think it's certainly a fallacy to assume that Jews, religious Jews and Haredi Jews are so preoccupied in learning that it's just an intellectual experience without a enormous desire for dveikus. Dveikus means a very, very close relationship and a close bond with God.
Well, the question is, like, how much are Haredim or the religious community contributing towards society?
Immense. There's nothing to talk about. My daughter, I have a daughter and a son-in-law who moved to Beitar. And they were living out in Jerusalem, right, in a regular neighborhood. And they moved there. At the end of the first week, my daughter just said the most incredible thing to me. I wasn't sure how they would take to it because the city of Beitar is all religious and shomer mitzvahs, watching and keeping the mitzvahs. And after the week, you know what she said to me? She said, Abba, I've never seen anything like it in the world. I said, what's that? She says, we moved in, we weren't even settled. We had people inviting us for dinner. We had people that gave us cribs. We had people that gave us ironing boards. There was nothing that we needed that wasn't made available. The Jewish world is so maligned in the press and so maligned in every place in the world historically. It's a mistake, ladies and gentlemen. The Jewish world is the most beautiful community in the world. There's kindness everywhere. There's interaction with the world everywhere. There's not judgment on non-religious people by most people. Every Jew is welcome in their heart. Our hearts are open to everybody. To bring everybody close to the precious gift of living a Jewish lifestyle. Because it's unequaled in the world. There's cruelty in the world. There's sheker. There's lies in the world. The Jewish world is not filled with that. We're not perfect. But the Jewish world is a place that's a full life experience, raising families, living in communities, doing kindness for each other, sacrificing for each other, from death to the grave. Everything is provided for and described, and we're told what to do, and it means for a full and a wonderful life. Don't believe all the lies that are spread in the world. They are not true. It is an incredible experience to live the Jewish lifestyle, unequaled anywhere else in the world. And the learning, I got to add this, because I never knew, and I still don't. I'm working on it. We don't understand the power of learning and what it means and what it does for the person and the environment around us. What does it have to do with it? You're learning. What does it have to do with the world? You end up, you get called when you need to be called. When you go, you run to help people. You look to do kindness and chesed. You develop yourself as a human being to become somebody that's a worthwhile figure in this world, that has a meaning in life and has a meaning to improve and make this world a better place to live. That's the power of learning. It's not a waste. It's not wasting your time. It's not interacting with the world. Learners and people that are learning are interacting and doing kindness in the world all the time. And you can see it just even historically, that most of the great inventions in medicine and science and everything, where's it coming from? It's coming from the Jewish people. That's who we are. Don't miss the opportunity to get yourself back, to find your Jewish roots, and celebrate, mamash celebrate, the greatest gift God ever gave to anybody in this world was to be a Jewish person and to keep the mitzvahs.